Good morning. This is Building SOC Tools on Stage, and I'm David Sass. First of all, many thanks to our sponsors, Chocolatey, Jane Street, Ironman Software, Knowledge Factory, and Synergy. Without them, we wouldn't have this conference, or the food, or the ping pong tables. And in case you missed it, Jane Street is not here to sell, but to buy. They are hiring PowerShell talent, just in case you need to know that. My name is David Sass. I am a security domain architect at Switch. Switch is a non-profit in Switzerland focusing on the higher education space, among many other things. I am a former SRE and a recovering SharePoint architect. My relationship with cloud is mostly screaming, and I don't like Git. And this session is about PowerShell Notebooks and, of course, Microsoft Defender. So the goal of the session is that I want to help you do your work if you work in security, or do your work better if you work in security, but the technique I'm going to show you does apply everywhere else. I believe I developed some best practices and I want to share those. And if anyone thinks though there are better practices, please tell me after. I also need to go open source with the solution we built because that improves our own quality and helps more people. And we really need a tool which isn't as terrible as Defender in the web browser, with all the clicking and waiting of the loading and, you know. Our broader context is that we operate a security operations center for the Swiss higher education community. Our technology stack is based on Defender XDR and Azure Sentinel. In case you didn't know, Defender is tuned for enterprises. It's not tuned for education, which means students who are allowed to use VPN or Tor and many other questionable things which an enterprise would want to deny and restrict is free and sometimes even part of their studies, which means we have a bunch of false positives and no way to close those false positives because Defender doesn't know from a user account if it's a student or faculty or researcher or anything else. There is no way to show or access any Entra ID properties in Defender to properly auto-close. With Sentinel, of course, it's a different situation, but this session is about Defender, not Sentinel. And of course, as I mentioned, Defender is slow. We need better speed. We need to scale our operation. And anything where we need to click is not going to scale, so we turn to PowerShell. There is one prerequisite which we created and is required for authentication, and that is an app registration with delegated API permissions. We only need delegated API permissions, and for the purpose to go with delegated and not with application APIs is because we don't want to have any secrets, any certificates, anything which is considered sensitive and someone would like to steal it. We only have our own credentials, we do MFA in the browser, and that's it. Nothing to steal, nothing to lose, nothing to check into source control and make available to the whole internet, as it usually happens. And with that, I'm going over to my demos. And the purpose of the demo is that I have some scaffolding, some templates, what we did and have been using. I removed all customer-specific information, of course. And I want to show you that this is easy to start, how you, what the workflow when you work through, you create your complex scripts and you move them into functions and start using a bit of unit testing and similar things. The tool of choice is VS Code, of course, with Jupyter Notebooks, or better call it Polyglot Notebooks. That's in Microsoft language means Jupyter Notebook, which was usually made for Python and data science and other similar things. So if you start, you need these 7 extensions to work with, and you need the .NET SDK to be installed. So when you type .NET, you get to see that it works and it's available, and I really assume that -v will give me version number. This is on our GitHub repository. You can clone it, you will see the templates in it, it's a MIT license. The link will be in this slideshow later and on the conference repository as well. The situation all starts that we need to have some modules to work with. Those are usually the Microsoft Graph modules related to users, groups, devices, security, and we need the PowerShell notebook as well. And we developed our own internal, which gives some basic functionality already to connect to Defender more easily with unit testing and everything. And we ship, in case you have not used PowerShell notebooks before, I made a session last year. The recording was on YouTube. You should watch it. I give you all the details about how workbooks work, what you need. And in our case, we also ship a PowerShell module just for the .NET Interactive profile. It is digitally signed, so it's ours. If you check the signature, you will see it's made by Switch. And this is required for every notebook to function properly, because we use the modules locally in the repository. We don't want to use anything the user might install into their profile that can give you some collisions and double logins and other not too fun things to troubleshoot. And basically with the environment configurator, you click run all and it will make sure that you have the latest modules. I'm not going to click run all, or I guess I can, because of course, we started the day with the PowerShell Gallery outage. So I was downloading my modules and they were not downloading, and what the heck. They had an Azure front door outage, I believe. It came back. I started downloading. It was still taking way too long. So I had to fall back to Justin's module fast module, I guess, and have fix some errors, because of course in the same time the other script was also downloading just super slow, but I have everything ready. But I'm not going through that on the stage live. And one of the last steps what this notebook does, that it will copy the signed profile into your profile folder and show you that it's there with all the signature. And with that, I'm heading over to my template notebook. So what we do is we organize the customers into their own folders. I created a tenant template. What we do is we create a new folder for this customer, that customer, and we work with their specific details, because of course one university stores their user properties like if the user is faculty or student in this property, the other one has an account naming convention and all kinds of different weird things. So we cannot use a single template for all of them. And of course, we don't want to connect to multiple graphs. Well, it's also not possible, but if we would connect to multiple tenants, we could easily mess up and move some information between tenants, and that's not good. In our template notebook, we organize everything in a header-based approach. So if I click this first one with red, this is header 1 markdown with color red. Under it we have header 2 with green, and somewhere I have header 3 with blue as well. The way we organize code is this way is that because we can close them up, and we have this nice little play button, and when we click this, it will execute those 5 cells under, and we can repeat. So if let me restart this whole thing. What you need to know that notebooks sometimes unreliable. The way to fix that is you click restart a couple of times, you clear all outputs and start again. If I click run all, it will start executing all the cells in a linear format. And in normal situation, it should pop up the browser to sign in. And when I click restart, it should forget that I was ever signed in. But it does not. That's lovely. And this is the doing live on stage situation. Okay, now I am signed out. And I can sign in. And this is where MFA would come in if my tenant wouldn't know that I am on a managed device and I have I don't know which token, but I can basically sign in without doing another MFA prompt at the moment. And initialization includes, setting some environment variables, printing them on the screen. I print the process ID, so I can confirm that when I'm opening a duplicate notebook, it will have its own process ID. And because the connect MG graph scope is set to process, they won't share any authentication information. And of course, I set the enterprise app ID and the tenant ID. If you have multiple tenants, you can use a single app registration from a core tenant. You could even use ours if you do a screen capture or pause the video later and type this in. It will grant you to consent, the same thing I showed here on the right side. This is an Entra ID situation. We cannot prevent it, and you can basically start consenting to anything you find on the internet. There is no secret there. And I am setting my time frame for investigation to 180 days. And that's the time when I'm getting the incidents to process them, because in Defender, sometimes incidents are backdated. At least that's the undocumented behavior we observed, that for some reason, Microsoft could well over 1 week decide that, oh, this is some alerts, and now we think it's a high risk or medium risk, and now we will create an incident. And when you look at the incident, it will say, I have been there from 1 week ago, you just have not seen me, and none of the audit logs will actually tell you that that's actually not true. And we had questions, why haven't we processed something from 3 weeks ago? when all of our notebooks are set to look back 1 week, and the only way we haven't processed something in that 1 week period if Microsoft put it there, backdating it. Not super nice. And after we sign in, we print some information about who you are, so you can confirm that you signed in properly. I am in my own tenant. If you are managing customers, this would be the external address, so there would be the hashtag X hashtag and the other tenant ID. And this is where using the headers will be helpful, because I don't want to sign in multiple times a day, so I'm only running run all on the first login of the day, and after that I'm just clicking the underlining play buttons and clicking them again to get new incidents every 30 minutes, every hour, etc., and process them. The way this is not automated is that we need individual accountability. Sorry, not automated is the wrong term. The way we are doing it in VS Code and not using Azure Functions or any other unattended automation is because Defender is a live entity, live service. It changes. We don't have the maturity to have the proper workflow with functions at the moment. It takes a lot of paperwork to have everyone on board at the company, and doing delegated on the machines on our privileged admin workstations. I need to say that we have dedicated privileged admin workstations for this purpose. We can more easily make progress, and I'm struggling to open the right things. So I'm getting incidents, I'm looking for not resolved, and I'm looking for medium or high severity created after that 180 days creation date, and I'm getting back 5, which is funny because if I look at Defender, I have 19, but that's a different situation. And from here, working with incidents and their alerts is a 2-step process. First, you need to get the incidents, and with the incidents, you need to get their alert IDs, which is done by this. If you just run a get mg security incident, you will have no information about the alerts contributing to the incident. When you say you want to expand the alerts property, you will get alert IDs, which is also not super helpful. So when you process the incidents one by one, you need to do a loop on their alerts and do a loop on the alerts and their IDs, and then get the alerts one by one, which is a bit time. It's slow, especially if you end up with an email-related incident with 400 alerts in it. It takes a bit of time until all 400 alerts are collected this way. I have a feeling that I could put multiple alert IDs here, but I didn't want to go there and have to troubleshoot that part as well. And when processing the alerts, it all comes down to alert detector IDs and collecting all the alert properties. And this is super ugly. It's ugly on purpose at the moment. But it works. And when the alert information is collected, we do some user lookup and we try to identify. I have left some examples here. If the user in question is faculty or student based on extension attributes or group memberships, because sometimes you license users by groups and the group name ends with for faculty, for example, because you have faculty licenses and then you know that that user must be faculty. Again, this is a template. This file is not being used. That's why I have all of these different user identification methods in them. And because we need to see when some users are not properly identified, there is a warning telling me that my account has no extension attribute at all. One thing we do, and I cannot really share that, is that we do IP information lookup using some paid APIs. The approach we did is that we have a function app functioning as an API proxy. That function app has access to the API keys in Key Vault. And we are calling the function API from our machines. And the function app is proxying our requests to the third-party IP information service and getting us back information if the IP address is related to a proxy, a Tor, or a VPN. Because, of course, students can use VPN, faculty also can use VPN. Tor is questionable, depending on customers, if they want to know about it or not, should we close those incidents or not. So this part here is while force, so this will never run, but when you take yours, you can basically go and implement your version of get IP risk details if you need it or have such a service. And when we get to that point, we will also publish how we made our own API proxy as an open source solution, but it's not there yet. And in the end, we do a bit of visualization of the alerts. So the 5 alerts I was able to get related to anonymous proxy. There is a multi-stage incident, some high privilege being assigned. And 2 of them were successfully identified as faculty. The others are related to my account, which has no information about user type. And from here, basically the first thing after we collected our information is that we go and tag the incidents. Because when we look at Defender, it helps when the tags column gives us information like student, faculty, proxy, VPN. We even have a list of known VPN provider types. When we see those, it's auto close. If they start using some weird VPN providers, we give a heads up to the customer that, hey, you might want to check with this user or that user. And I believe this part I have not run. Oh, I did. So when it is being executed, it prints some dots just to show that there is progress. Otherwise, you could be looking at processing for a long time without nothing happening. And this is our progress indicator. And the count of characters is basically should always be equal with the count of incidents. And from here we do process the incidents in another set of notebooks. This is the way we do it, we have nested notebooks. So this notebook called one-tag-incidents, this is our main processor. Here we collect the information, we do the enrichments, and then we convert the information we collected into a nice JSON format because we love that. And then we pass those over to nested notebooks. Nested notebooks live in a nested notebooks folder, have their own name, and they basically take the JSON information and the user account who is running the notebook as parameter, and from there they close or do nothing to incidents. And the way we see the errors here is because these I have not prepared, but there should be one which was there. Oh no, I renamed it. So we have a nested notebook template, which in this case is the anomalous token processing turned into a template. So the way we do is that when is a new type of incident or alert we need to process quickly. For example, right now there is a preview incident for Tor being used. We basically just take a template, we duplicate it, we change the name, and I'm going to check here what name should I use. Exclude unknown tokens. Then we make sure that the title is matching what we need. I'm going to check here. I believe I need this title. And I'm going to remove this student filter because I don't have any students. So this part doesn't have to do anything. Come on. It's very important that you save it, because you can run this, it will do nothing, but it will also not save the file. So without saving, none of my changes would be available as a nested notebook. And I run into this a couple of times every month that I forgot to save, because I already ran the whole situation. This converted was already populated. The variable me was already there, so I could just run it. And we can see that this one has been processed from the previous 5. And if we head over here, and that's number 14, this is the incident ID, so that's why I clicked number 14. We should see that it is resolved and tagged. And this change was made right now. And this is where individual accountability comes in, that in the activity log you will see that it was done by an app in my name. So we can tell from the audit logs if an incident was processed by hand or it was processed by the automation, and do some really not meaningful statistics just for fun to see how much we process with automation and show that working on this automation actually has business value and we need to continue working on them. Because otherwise it makes no sense to measure how long you work on an incident, because incident types are different, information you need to look up different people work different ways, so measuring time spent on an incident is not a meaningful or reliable metric, but measuring how much was auto-closed and how much was closed by hand is a useful metric and can help influence automation decisions. And basically, I would just need to duplicate that template 2 more times, rename it to match this template name, and rename the incident title in it, and it would start solving those type of incidents as well. So this is how new functionality is made, and made in an ugly way. And making it prettier involves finding that huge amount of code, putting it into a function. Is that a sign for me to be quick? Okay. set incident tags. So now I turned my super long code into a function, and I can just say set incident tags, and if I click this, it should produce the same results. Perfect. That's how you convert something into an in-notebook function. And from here, you can basically grab it, go into, or this is what we do. We head over into our own PowerShell module, go into the public folder. I prepared the file already, and basically drop it here. I'm just going to fix the top. There. And if I restart, and click this, it will fail. Yes, function does not exist. And the reason for that is for autoloading, module autoloading to function faster, in the PSD1 file, I need to specify that I am exporting this function as well. I'm not signing in again, I'm just showing you how we can turn one piece of code block into a function and move it into a module. And now, yes, it ran and said no incidents were found. And of course, we have unit tests as well. I already prepared one, which I ran previously and had no results. Because we wanna force ourselves to do proper module development and proper function development, the tester tests check that we have help documentation prepared or not. In Connect Defender, I have this super nice synopsis, and I did not put this into set incident tags. But if I copy it over, and I feel very good about myself, I can run it again, and it passes everything. So basically, we need, the summary is that we have a notebook, we have a folder with multiple notebooks, we have modules we keep in our project as prerequisites, we have a module which contains our own functions for reusability, so we don't need to, yes, this is what prompted us, that because we have multiple clients, if that tagging code exists in all notebooks one by one, and I need to change it in all client-related folders, and that's just stupid. So we can turn it into a function, move it into this dedicated module, and then there is only one place I need to change it. If we need something super customer specific, we can create a customer dedicated module, place it here, use Git submodules, so we can put it into an actual different GitHub project and have the customer access to it. So because our customers also use this just with their identities, we can collaborate on their specific function code and functions. And eventually we just run our controller to tag, and then we call our nested notebooks to do the auto closing if needed. and the rest we investigate by hand or by other means. And for everything we have the templates, and we just rename, change, run, and happiness. And it's actually super nice when you walk in after a long weekend and there is 60 plus incidents because students were using VPN and proxy and all kinds of things over the weekend, and you cannot disable those alerts, but you need to look at the situation. Is this student? Is this faculty? Is that person both? Because some students do work as faculty or teachers, or teachers are also studying. Not sure which one comes first. We, of course, don't close those mixed or anything which has faculty in it, unless customer says so. And that 60 plus incidents can go down to 20 or less in a click with 2 clicks. 2 clicks meaning run all and sign in the browser, and the rest is automated. And 5-10 seconds later, depending how many alerts are being queried, it's a much less stressful first day of the week for those who run the notebooks, at least. And I believe that was all. This was the demo. And as a recap, on a higher or more broadly, delegated API permissions are perfect for this. No secrets, no certificates, no problems. Individual accountability is not lost, which is super important for customers to know who worked and when on an incident. This is cross-platform, which we don't rely on for operations. We have the Windows machines, but for development purposes, we develop these things on our MacBooks. And cross-platform ability is mostly visible here. Where is it? That the only place where you need to take care of is that when you split the PS module pass, you need to use this system IO pass separator. Depending on the OS, it will return this or that character and splitting will work. And we don't need to write an if statement, is this Windows, is this Mac. All the other modules are cross-platform by default. Notebooks can be nested. I have not done more than one level nesting. I'm sure it would work. And the extra benefit is that when you investigate something and it seems like a big deal, you can just say file save as. That will save all the output and everything into its dedicated notebook, and you can keep it for audit purposes. That's slow even for me. And then this file can be placed on a SharePoint document libraries, placed on a file share, placed anywhere, zip it, send it, keep it. If you need to keep it 3 years, 3 months, 10 years, whatever. Whatever you did is in it. It's saved with all the output. And auditors love that. And that was all I wanted to tell you from my side. And I'm ready for questions.
Question about the API permission. We have a lot of use cases. You have like, for example, the permission to read all the incidents, or so you have basically the permission to read all, but do you have a permission that you can scope maybe on device groups or something like this?
So the question is, with the broad service level API permissions, in what way we can scope these permissions to device groups so the user executing it can be restricted to one device group or the other? This is a very good question. and probably I should have mentioned, delegated permissions alone do not grant you access. Your user have to have access to. If the user has restrictions, in the Venn diagram situation, the API can only access those things and work with those items the user have access to. So if I forget to PIM up in the morning and I'm running security operator only, I can query everything, I can do nothing, I can no tag, I will receive errors. When I PIM up and sign in again, it will work. If I don't have access to device group, I cannot interact with it. Probably won't even see it, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a mixture of both in the same time. Anyone else? This is a safe place. Ask away. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you so much.